I used to have 5 brothers, but now I'm not a brother. A quote by Kevin Atkinson, who we might know as Kevin Von Erich. So, the question we have today is, were the Von Erichs cursed? That's a question that we might never know. But if we want to know about who they were, let's go all the way to the beginning. Let's start with the patriarch, Jack Atkinson, who was born in Juneau, Texas. We don't know how his passion of wrestling began, but all we know is that his future kids would make them actual superstars. But where did Von Erich come from? He was a heel in the wrestling business back in the South wrestling. And to make it more official, he decided to name himself Fritz von Erich, a Nazi German. And he was hated by many, many people, which was what he was looking for. And that's how it all started. The most important thing is the move that we see today known as the Iron Claw, a move that is still used to this day, but named as Mandible Claw, treated by Mankind and Bray Wyatt. Fritz had a big inspiration for wrestling, and he was going to make sure that he was known around the world. He ended up settling down and having a family. 6 boys: Jack Jr., Kevin, David, Carrie, Mike, and Chris. His children were the biggest inspiration of his life. And who knew that they would have his genetics of being fine athletes in wrestling? But life wasn't always happy for Fritz until his firstborn son, Jack Jr., 6 years old, came up home, was trying to open the door, got shocked and drowned in the snow. He was only 6 years old, and Kevin took over the mantle of being the older brother. It must have not been easy for him. It took the father down. It took Doris, their mother, down. The worst feeling for the loss of a child. But time went on, and Fritz was being as good as he could be. Now owner of WCCW, he himself was a 3-time NWA champion, but the record-breaking 20-time United States champion. And now we leave this to his sons. The famous person to start this up was a trio of Kevin, David, and Carrie, the first Von Erichs to put themselves on the map with their agility, with their speed, with their stealth, with their athleticism, charisma, strength. That's what people wanted to see, and that's how they saw who they were. David was known as the Yellow Rose of Texas. Carrie was known for being handsome. And Carrie knew about his muscular strength and charisma. He was a mix of both. And they traveled all over, winning titles, beating opponents with their famous rivalry with the fabulous Freebirds at the time, and with Ric Flair, and with Gorgeous Gino, and Chris Adams, and Dusty Rhodes, and so many more legends from the NWA era. They became famous in the 70s, 80s, up to the early 90s, until tragedy will strike. But I'll be speaking about that more in a minute. Tonight, we're going to be talking about their accomplishments as tag team champions, as heavyweight champions. They were an inspiration. They were the heartthrob for every teenage girl in America and all over the world. David signed up to NJPW for Japan and made his own mark. But then that's when tragedy struck. David was sick. Something wasn't right with him. According to WCCW referee David Manning said he received a call in the middle of the night saying that David Von Erich died at the age of 25 years old. Such a young age. But what did he die from? Was it an overdose, suicide, unexpected sickness? No one knew. What I heard from David Manning was that he went to Fritz's house. And Fritz found out when David arrived, he said, "Which one?" As if he knew that one of his sons died. Unfortunately, he said it was David. Only 25 years old. No one knows the cause of his death. They didn't find out until a couple weeks later. So until that time, Kevin and his mother ran to the woods with pain and suffering, sobbing. And what were they going to do? They couldn't have a Von Erich without a third member. So they decided to come up with a guy named Lance Von Erich, who wasn't even related to them. And for me, that makes me sick to my stomach because you're putting a family on the map and you're putting someone in a team that isn't related. Lance Von Erich, the only reason people say Lance Von Erich is because he has the Von Erich last name with it. But then people began to find out that he wasn't related to them. And that made a damaged reputation on the Von Erich name. Kevin was despised by it. He hated it. So why didn't he say anything? Why didn't he tell his dad, he's not related, why is he in our team? But that friendship didn't last long and Lance Von Erich had to leave. Until a brother stepped up, Mike. Mike wasn't as fast, though, and he wasn't as agile. In his first match, he actually ended up breaking his arm. It was so bad that they didn't know if he was going to wrestle again. The infection spread, and it became known as toxic shock syndrome. David's death has impacted the whole family, and it was up to Mike to help them out. That same year, Ric Flair was putting his title up on the line, and Kerry was going to do what he wanted, win the championship for his brother. And the titles did change that night. And he became NWA champion. But Mike didn't know what to do. That same night, he was already injured and had an infection. But months passed by and he was close to death, but survived thanks to God. Unfortunately, the consequence was he had a condition called toxic shock syndrome, where there is toxins inside the bacteria, which cause nausea, vomiting, lots of horrible things. And now, Mike was in a big trouble now. He was into the painkillers that were prescribed to him. He wasn't himself. David said he one time attacked the parked car. And everything began. I think the reason this all happened was because Mike felt that he had to be David, but David was one of a kind and he felt like he was trying to fill his shoes. And when you fill shoes of someone who's no longer here, you have this pressure, oh, you got to do it just like that person or close to. That's what happened with Mike. It's been said that Mike accidentally was caught on bail and was about to get arrested again. And he left the suicide note. We don't know where. All we do know is that he went to a lake with a bottle of alcohol and some pills called Placidil, which help you sleep. People kept searching, where's Mike? I haven't seen him. And if you're a Von Erich, you never go missing on a match. You always go there even if you're sick. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. They put in posters, they put in signs. Where is Mike Von Erich? 4 days later, they found him in the lake, dead, at the age of 23. Died of an overdose. Also a suicide. So now we lose 2 Von Erichs. Cause of Mike, drug overdose. And people began thinking, what was David's death? And they found out acute enteritis. Horrible way to die. So we lost David at 25. Now we lose Mike at 23. We still have 2, Kevin and Kerry, who are still excellent superstars. But now they only have 2 people. Chris always wanted to join the Von Erichs, but the truth is, even in my heart, he wouldn't be a wrestler. He was out of shape and he had asthma. And with asthma, it's really hard because wrestling, you have to run, you have to be quick and agile. And with asthma, it's really hard to do it. But Chris said, I want to do it. I want to do it for the family. And Kevin trained him. He had some matches. Unfortunately, one of his matches, he had dislocated his shoulder. And some say after that dislocation of his shoulder, things went real dark for Chris. He was in depression and thoughts of suicide. Kevin was the only one who knew about this. No one else. Kerry didn't know. Doris didn't know. Fritz didn't know. Only Kevin knew. So why did he hide it? Because Kevin was the older brother and he knew he could trust him. I mean, we've already lost David. We've already lost Mike. And now we have Chris with these intentions. We got Chris looking out here saying that he can't take the pressure, only being in a couple matches. But I'm going to tell you the truth. He wasn't meant to be a wrestler. But people kept saying, it's Von Erich. He has to be a wrestler. And I think that hit him hard. And therefore, he left his father's home. Kevin asked his father, has Chris ever told you about suicide? And he said, Kevin, I think it's time for you to go now before he does something harsh. But he came a moment too late. Kevin tried to find out what Chris did to himself. Did he shoot himself? Did he overdose like Mike did? He picked up his head and placed a hole in the finger. He shot himself in the head. He died at the age of 21. So nothing else can get worse. We have David dead at 25. We have Mike dead at 23. And now we have Chris at 21. What else can happen now? We already lost 3 superstars that had a name to uphold for themselves. And that's the thing. And that's what happened. We can't take back the moments that we want to see. And the Von Erich name was falling apart. After the Lance, it began to go. And now with the 3 deaths of David, Mike, and Chris, What else can go wrong? What else can go wrong? What's next? What are we gonna do? Are we gonna see another tragedy strike? Well, there wasn't a tragedy for a while. Kerry Von Erich got up called to the WWF by Vince McMahon. Unfortunately, he couldn't use his own name, so he had to be called the Texas Tornado. But the Von Erichs weren't in WWF. So how did he become so popular? Because he was a one-time Intercontinental champ. Biggest threat to Mr. Perfect, one of the greatest rivalries of all time. And when you find out someone who is that good, you can't miss. That's what Kerry did. But that moment didn't last long either. It struck hard too. Kerry was in a horrible accident, got hit in front of a parked police car. Leg damage very bad. So bad that they had to amputate it. But we don't know what happened in his mind. We can't think what Kerry thought. Kerry said that he felt like a failure, that he felt like a fake, that he had to live this lie. I can't imagine that. And besides he goes back with a promo saying that my leg is better than ever. But let's be honest, he was amputated. But because the wrestlers' boots, which are today, they use high boots, so you can't tell the difference. You can't tell if he's amputated or not. Because by the way he was moving, he moved like he was going real fast. He was going real fast. And he was a lucky guy. There was nothing Kerry couldn't do. And with that proved moment, he did it. He was the Texas Tornado, but on the inside, he was still Kerry Von Erich. A Kerry Von Erich will have a struggle of his own. Just like his brother Mike, he became addicted to painkillers for his pain and was arrested. Was sent to court for the next day, but I don't think anyone took it harder than Kerry did, especially for a man like him. And then he goes to his father's ranch and tells his dad, I love you and I love you for everything. And in my mind, I'm like, why would he say that? This guy is amazing. And okay, I get it. You might be getting arrested. There might be some trouble. But he drove real far. And Kevin said in Dark Side of the Ring, which I'm a really huge fan of the show, saying that Kevin tried to call his dad saying that Kerry's gonna do something stupid. Kerry, you gotta stop, tell Kerry to stop and I'll get him there. But the dad said he was busy, and after the hug, heard a gunshot. Kerry Von Erich died after shooting himself in the heart. He was 33 years old. And we think it's over. We have David dead at 25, Mike dead at 23, Chris dead at 21, and now we have Kerry Von Erich, the most popular Von Erich, dead at 33 years old. Fritz was done. Doris was broken. His rage took the best of him, and he wanted the whole world to suffer like he did. And I can't blame him. 5 of his 6 sons died before he did. No parent wants a child to die before them. They want to die after them. And 5 out of the 6 children died. 1 through a sickness, 1 through an electrical shock, and 3 of suicide, which could have been prevented if they had the help they needed from either their parents or from their brothers or from each other. But it didn't happen, and the tragedy got the best of them. Kevin felt struck and did not wrestle for a while, and he decided to live somewhere where people couldn't find him. And we respect what Kevin decided to do. But there is a legacy in the Von Erichs to this day. Kevin has 2 sons, Ross and Marshall Von Erich, who are wrestlers. Carrie has a daughter, Lacey, who used to be a wrestler from 2007 until her retirement in 2010. But we gotta think of some Von Erich moments. There's a commercial of them with the pizza in. I'll leave that commercial in my bio, so you guys can watch that commercial. So it's a good commercial. So you know the Von Erichs were an amazing family. And with that amazement and with Kerry's involvement with WWF in 2009, they were inducted to the Hall of Fame. What really makes me feel bad is that I wish every brother could have holded their plaque and that ring and explained how their success got them that far. And Kevin had to carry 5 of the 6 rings because they couldn't handle their own emotions. I don't blame them. I don't understand. Was it a curse? My answer is no. It was due to the fame. It was due to their private lives. It was due to their arrests, their struggles. I can't say how they felt. I can't say what their last words were. I can't say what they were thinking that night. Because it's something that's in their mind, and a lot of us don't know. I love the Von Erichs to this day. They're an amazing family. They will be forever missed. And Kevin is the only last living member of that famous Von Erich generation. We all miss them, and we'll forever miss them. But the deaths that were hit hard were no more than David, Mike, and Carrie. Chris was little known through that time. So there you have it, guys. Was it a curse? My answer is no. It was their private lives that led to their own demise. Until next time, this is APW Talk. Click on my subscription button, click on that notification bell, hit that thumbs up, leave a comment down below. Tell me what story you want to do next. Starting on tomorrow, we'll be doing Was the Rock and John Cena rivalry worth watching? This is APW Talk. Peace out, guys.